Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, boxing prospect review. We're gonna get into that here in a second, but first of all, I wanted to give a special shout out to Ahmed El Bialy and Sinisa Estrada. Ahmed El Bialy being the guy who recently lost to John Pascal and the prospect, and then Sinisa Estrada, the sensational women's boxer. Shout out to them for recently following True School Sports on Instagram, and go follow True School Sports on Instagram if you haven't already. You can find that on my about section of the channel. But this video right here, prospect review about a fighter I just recently had a chance to watch on the Katie Taylor Jessica McCaskill undercard a couple days ago, and that guy goes by the name of Ted Cheeseman. Ted Cheeseman, he's 12-0, yeah, 12-0, 8 KOs out of Bermondsey, London, in the United Kingdom. 154-pound prospect. Had a chance to watch him fight in one of the opening bouts of the card. Didn't know who he was, didn't know much about him, so then I went and did some research on him. Pretty good fighter. He fought a guy named Tony Dixon, who was 10-1, Welsh champion. It looked pretty good, man. Apparently, it was one of the first times he won 8 rounds, and he got there relatively easily, winning a lot of the rounds. He showed a good boxer puncher style. Doesn't have the most power in the world, but has above average power. Showed the ability to place his punches really well. I think that was the two things that I left very impressed with when I watched this guy fight. Was the fact that, being that he's so young, because he's the same age as me, he's 22 years old, and being that he didn't have he didn't have the longest amateur pedigree. He has definitely good skills, naturally skilled, places his punches really well, good defensively. And right now he's making a lot of noise in the domestic scene in the UK. Obviously, the test for him and any fighter as a prospect is, can you overcome the domestic level and then get to the world level, which I think the jury's still out on. He recently just earlier this year he recently fought Matthew Ryan, who was a British champion, which is like, if you guys don't know, and I just figured this out myself, British being the British champion and English champion are two different things. Being the British champion is like a step below being the English champion. So he fought Matthew Ryan, who was 14-1, and he was the British champion. Matthew Ryan hadn't really fought a whole lot of good opponents, but he became a British champion. He beat a guy. I think his name was something Upton. I forgot the guy's first name. I got it in front of me. Matthew Ryan beat, I don't remember who he beat, but he beat someone to become British champion who was pretty good. He only had like one or two decent domestic level names on his resume, and the rest was just flat out bumps, like guys with 100 losses, 2 wins, and 50 losses. Because they're prospects. But he fought Matthew Ryan, a guy that was believed to be his biggest challenge to date. That was back in July, and it was his first true step up. And obviously, when you're a prospect, when you have that first, even if it's a minor step up, being a fighter in England, when you fight a British champion and that's your first step up fight, that's your first, like, that's where we find out anything. That's where the fight fans begin to find out a little bit about who you are. And he fought Matthew Ryan, and he iced him. Looked sensational in that fight. It's probably one of the more sensational performances I've seen in quite some time, even though I didn't watch it when it actually happened. But I watched it today, actually, and just Matthew Ryan was a bigger man. He came forward. And he was slipping shots. A real slick fighter, showing counter punches, showing the ability to knowing when to hold them and knowing when to fold them, as the great George Strait once said. Like, he knew when to punch, he knew when to retreat, he knew, he would throw a right hand, and he would just hop back and get space so the guy couldn't hit him and he'd be out of range. And he just showed in the fights that I watched. 3 of his fights. I watched the one on the McCaskill Katie Taylor undercard, which is when he went 8 rounds. I thought he showed good durability in that fight, good punch placement, and just the ability to win rounds in a lot of different ways. In the fight with Matthew Ryan, he was sensational. He walked down the bigger man. He was slipping punches, out jabbing him, beating him to the positions of the ring that he wanted to be at, counter punching him, scored 2 knockdowns, bloodied his nose, and I believe he stopped him in the 3rd or the 4th round. Great performance. If you really want to know about his best performance, what he looks like at his best thus far, Ted Cheeseman versus Matthew Ryan, that's what you want to go see. And then I watched another fight where he fought an Italian guy, and the Italian guy Willie didn't come to win. He was complaining so much to the ref that he actually just stopped the fight because he was complaining so much. That was I didn't really put much stock into that fight, but so far, man, from what I see from Ted Cheeseman, he's one of the more underrated prospects in the Matchroom stable. He wasn't like a gold medalist or bronze medalist or even an Olympian at all. He just was a guy who won a couple of AIBA championships and compiled an amateur record of 50-11. But he's a good fighter. He's a good fighter, and he from just a couple fights that I've watched, and I haven't even really watched a ton of fights like that of his. I've only watched 3 fights. From the couple fights I've watched, you see the growth in him, and I'm looking forward to seeing him get a shot at the 154-pound English title, which I know is that next big step for him. I believe Liam Williams holds that title, and he might be vacating that to go fight Liam Smith or something like that. I forgot what it was, but he's supposed to. I think he is. I think he has the English title at 154. Eddie Hearn says he wants to vacate it. He might vacate it. Who knows? But once he gets that title shot, we're gonna know a little bit more about him. And then after that, then he can begin to tackle. If he gets past that test, then he can begin to tackle the question of, hey, can I be a competitor on the world stage, which is what you want to know if you're a fighter. So from what I saw in the ring, I think Ted Cheeseman has the skills, he has the punch placement, he has the versatility to compete on the world stage. Being a world champion, that's I don't know about that one. We got to see him in a tougher fight before we can make any snap judgments like that. But to definitely get past the stage of being just a English champion, I think that's definitely feasible for him. And he's an entertaining fighter. You know, regardless if he ever gets to that world stage, I think he'll be someone that makes for entertaining fights in the UK at bare minimum. And that's how you could ask for as a fighter, to be in meaningful fights, entertaining fights, and being someone that's remembered. And Ted Cheeseman, from what I saw, you know, he has a good style, and he's someone that could definitely be remembered. So as his career progresses, I'll definitely keep an eye on him. I'm gonna make more videos on him. But let me know what you guys think out there. For my UK fans, Ted Cheeseman, what do you think about him? 12-0, 8 KOs, good fighter out of London, coming up in the 154-pound ranks. Do you guys think he could get to the world stage and maybe challenge for a world title one day, and who knows, be world champion? Let me know what you think in the comments down below about Ted Cheeseman. If you guys know Ted Cheeseman, because I know the boxing community, sometimes you guys know these fighters. Let me know something about Ted Cheeseman if you know him. Yeah, and overall, man, just leave your comments down below. Take the time to subscribe. Follow True School Sports on Instagram at True School Sports. And like I always say in every video, my name is Brendan Taylor, and I'm just you can love me, you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.